Yes guys, Max here, back again with a brand new video, and today we're going to be going over my Premier League predictions that I made right at the start of the season. We're going to see how I did. Now obviously I'm not going to get every single one right, and most people haven't. There's going to be some big mistakes. I'm trying to remember now and I can already think of a fair few mistakes in there. But let's stop dilly-dallying about, let's get straight into it and react to my table predictions I made last August. So in 20th place I did put Sheffield United, and of course I get that one bang on straight away. Sheffield United finished rock bottom. It was a pretty self-explanatory prediction. They lost two of the best players, Iliman Ndiaye and Sander Berge, both left the club. And I said, I don't know where the goals are going to come from. I mean, it was a self-explanatory one. I think most people had Sheffield United finishing bottom. Didn't have any forwards, in my opinion, to keep them up, to score enough goals for them. So it was a self-explanatory prediction, put them rock bottom. And I get a point straight away, although I don't really know what the point system is. Basically, I've got 1 from 1 though. That's unbelievable, let's be real. 19th place, I had Luton Town. They ended up finishing 18th, so very close. I did predict them to go down, but obviously I was 1 place off. I said about the signings they made, they were more of a championship side in terms of the signings they were making, bringing players from League One and the Championship and sort of integrating them with the team, so maybe next season in the Championship they can come straight back up. And I wasn't really wrong with that one, was I? 18th place, I had Nottingham Forest. They ended up finishing 17th, so again, 1 place off. Very close prediction again. Of course, Forest had a bit more quality to stay up in the end with Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi, Elanga. They had some very good players that kept Forest up in the end. 17th place, I had Wolves just surviving. Of course, they didn't. They finished quite high. They finished 14th. I think I based this off the news of Lopetegui leaving the club literally 3 days before the season started. So, yeah, weren't able to make a lot of signings, Wolves, this season, and maybe that might be the case this summer as well. 16th place, I had Crystal Palace, and don't shoot me down straight away. Let me explain myself. I was basing it off, obviously, Roy Hodgson was the manager at the time. I said I didn't think Roy would last the full season, which he didn't. I didn't expect Oliver Glasner to come in and Mateta to score 16 Premier League goals. I knew the quality of Eze and Elise, but I didn't think they'd be that good. Crystal Palace obviously finished 10th place, which is a monumental finish considering where they were just 2 or 3 months ago before Glasner came in. In 15th place, I had Fulham. I did predict a slight drop-off from the season before. They ended up finishing 13th, so around about mid-table. They did drop off. I did expect that, and of course that's what ended up happening. I think at the start of the season as well, Marco Silva was linked with moves to the Saudi League as a manager. Same with Mitrovic. He was still at the club. Mitrovic was still at the club, but I was predicting him to leave, which he eventually did. I was wondering where they're going to get the goals from. I didn't know Raul Jimenez and Rodrigo Muniz are going to score loads of goals for Fulham, but they did. 14th place, I had Everton. They ended up finishing 15th, so I was very close on that one. Of course, I didn't know they were going to get these point deductions. Would be interesting to see where Everton would finish without them. Obviously, you can take the point, or you can add the points on and see where they would look, but I think the negativity around the points deductions obviously dampened some certain performances in the league. They had one of the best defences with Pickford, Tarkowski and Branthwaite. They just didn't score enough goals. They could have definitely finished higher. They need a striker, especially in the summer. Now here's another shocking one. I predicted Burnley to finish 13th, and I know a lot of people predicted Burnley to finish sort of mid-table. Of course, they ended up getting relegated in 19th place. That means all 3 newly promoted teams have been relegated back down to the Championship. I think that just shows the lack of quality in those teams. Jump up to the Premier League isn't as easy as people think. 12th place I had Bournemouth, and they finished 12th place, so another one bang on. I said Iraola's going to come in. He's a very exciting manager. He'll get Bournemouth playing some exciting football. Dom Solanke was banging goals in. Semenyo was a very good player, so was Justin Kluivert. They had a great back line as well, Bournemouth. Overall, it was a very exciting season for Bournemouth. They could have got Europe. They were never in threat of going down. 12th place is a very good first season for Iraola, and I'm glad I got it straight bang on. 11th place I had West Ham United, who ended up finishing 2 places higher than I predicted in 9th. I think this was mainly because of the Declan Rice move. I was like, to take Declan Rice out of that team, it's always going to be more difficult. But they did replace him well, bringing in Edson Alvarez, bringing in Mohamed Kudus, 2 very good signings along with others. And they exceeded my expectations. Of course, David Moyes is no longer the manager. They've got Julian Lopetegui coming in at the start of next season, so it'll be interesting to see how they get on next season. 10th place, I predicted Brentford. Bit of a shocking one. They ended up finishing 16th, so I was 6 off on that one again. I don't know why I put them 10th, genuinely. I knew they didn't have Tony for 6 months, so why am I predicting them 10th? Because he is their star player, let's be real. Buemo was injured as well. Visser was their sort of main man this season, wasn't he? David Raya obviously left to join Arsenal. I think at the time, though, he was still a Brentford goalkeeper. Bit of a shocking prediction, that. 9th place, I had Brighton, so them and West Ham, I needed to swap around and I would have gotten both bang on. Brighton obviously ended up finishing 11th. Again, I knew there'd be a drop-off with certain sales of Moises Caicedo. But again, Brighton always do develop other players well and bring in new talent. Bit of an off-season for Brighton, but I'm sure they'll be back fighting again in sort of this position next season. With obviously a new manager. I wonder who that's going to be. Put down in the comments who will be the new Brighton manager. 8th place, I went for Aston Villa. I did. I don't know why at the start of the season I just couldn't fathom putting Aston Villa in the top 6. And I thought Newcastle as well would have a better season, so I ended up settling with 8th. Not a great prediction, of course. They got 4th and got into the Champions League. Ollie Watkins bagging goals in. It was just a great team performance this season. Douglas Luiz was a standout player for me, as was John McGinn. It'll be interesting to see how Aston Villa do next season. 7th place, I went for Newcastle. And of course, they finished 7th, so it's another one bang on. I knew there'd be a drop-off again because of the added Champions League football. Of course, they did get knocked out quite early in that, so it didn't really dampen them too much. What dampened them the most was injuries, which a lot of teams had to struggle with this season as well. But Newcastle did have it bad. 6th place, I did go for Tottenham, basically because of Ange Postecoglou coming in. I thought it'd take a season to, sort of get the heads around the Premier League. He ended up finishing 5th, so 1 place higher. Again, I was nearly there. They started off so well. I think Postecoglou won 3 Manager of the Month for the first 3 months of the season. They were fighting for the title at the start. Maddison was on fire. Son was on fire. This was all without Harry Kane as well, who of course joined Bayern Munich. But then they started to deteriorate a little bit and obviously ended up finishing 5th, which is still European football for them. 5th place, I went for Liverpool, 2 places off. I don't know why I did that. Surely I predict Liverpool top 4. At the time, I didn't know it was going to be Jurgen Klopp's last season, but I think even before that was announced, they were fighting for the title. They were never in danger of finishing outside that top 4. Again, it's going to be interesting to see how Arne Slot does, the new Liverpool manager replacing Jurgen Klopp. 4th place, I went for Chelsea. I anticipated Pochettino to have a very good first season. Pochettino did guide Chelsea back into European football, finishing 6th. But of course, he's now been sacked. I've been saying it all year round. Chelsea need to bring in more experienced players. I say it every video we do about Chelsea. More experience. Stop signing loads of young talent. Young talent's good, but you need those experienced heads in the squad as well. 3rd place, I had my club, Manchester United. Of course, we ended up finishing 8th, so I was 5 places off on that one. Not a good prediction, is it? Should we forget about that one? 2nd place, I did have Arsenal, so I was bang on with that one, and that means, of course, 1st place, I had Manchester City. Arsenal again pushing City to the end, but it wasn't to be. A few dodgy results around the season. They just don't have that winning mentality yet. I hate to say it. And then you go over to Manchester City, who've won it so many times before. Pep Guardiola himself has won it loads of times before. And of course, they ended up winning the Premier League 4 years running. So that was it. Reacting to my Premier League predictions, how did you think I do? I mean, you can see for yourself. Bit of a mixed bag, few dodgy ones, but I got quite a few bang on as well. And of course, we'll be back again to predict the Premier League season right at the start, come August.